What's up, guys? Eric Bright, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, April 20th. Happy Snoop Dogg Day. In the office today, I don't know, we got about an inch of snow outside. Wound up canceling the trip because of the weather, so did not go out today. But have been out quite a bit in the last week. Got some pretty good details for you guys on what's going on with the fish. Of course, this cold snap that came in last night and brought us this snow today and going to make it cold tomorrow. Probably going to make a few changes. Probably just delay things a little bit, but the fish are definitely moving. They're definitely coming up, and we have certainly been catching a lot of fish this past week. As far as our lake level is concerned, we're at 914.91 or 92. Basically a tenth of a foot down. Of course, still running quite a bit of water. They've still got beaver about 1.5 feet high, so they're still working on that. Bull shoals about 5 feet high, so they're working on that as well. So we're probably going to still continue to see current until they get those two lakes squared away. I think I saw May the 2nd or May the 3rd, something like that, is when they expect to have both beaver and bull shoals at normal pool, assuming we don't get a big rainfall between now and then. Water temperature has been a little bit strange. We had been talking about upper 50s, low to mid 60s. With this cold snap we've had the last few days, I'm seeing a lot cooler water temperatures. I'm seeing 57, 58 is kind of an average. You get some sunny days, and you'll get a lot warmer water in some of the dirtier water areas. Up the James, up the Kings. And up in Long Creek, you'll see some mid-60s. But for the most part, we're in the upper 50s right now, which has actually cooled down and has kind of moved the fish, has kind of changed the bite. The best way to stay on top of that, of course, is become a pro member of Table Rock Fishing Intel. That way you can get the daily reports. We've been pumping out a ton of daily reports lately. You can get the weekly reports like this one. You can get the monthly reports. You get all the feature videos, all the tournament results. We had 2 BFLs over the weekend. We had interviews with all the winners on that. Pro members have access to all that information. The best way to stay on top of what's going on with Table Rock Lake and how to catch fish on it, become a pro member of Table Rock Fishing Intel. If you're coming down, though, you're going to fish the lower end of the lake. The lower end continues to be the toughest part of the lake. Don't exactly know why that is, to be honest with you. I think a lot of discussion between the guides and the other fishermen. I mean, you can get bit down the lower end, but you're just not going to catch the numbers, and don't seem to have the size on the lower end that we've got on some of the other areas of the lake. You can get bit down there. Most of the fish coming out of down there are coming on a couple of different baits. Guys are catching them sight fishing, of course. You're going to hear that all over the lake. This cold snap has kind of pushed those fish back a little bit. But there are still plenty of fish on beds, and I think as it warms, once we get through this weekend into next week, you're going to see a lot more fish on beds. So if you're a sight fisherman, obviously it's easiest to see the fish down in the lower end where the water's clearest. Not a sight fisherman, we are catching them on a Kitex swim bait pretty good. 2.8 still seems to be the dominant size, but guys are catching a few on a 3.3 as well. Throwing it on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0 is what I've been doing lately. That little 8 ounce head, really, when they get up this shallow, most of the fish are less than 15 feet deep. You can use that lighter weight head, and it's a perfect head for fishing because you can scrub it on the bottom, or you can fish it suspended. It works out really well for that. Catching a few on a Jewel Squirrel head as well, using whatever you like as a trailer. I've been putting the Senko on it and getting bit on that fairly well. Spider jig's been working pretty good too. Same sort of deal, and the Pee Wee football jig has been working pretty well. Most of the fish are relating to the spawning pockets, just like they were last week. They're either on the points, inside the points, on beds, or right in the guts or the center of the spawning pocket seems to be where we're catching a lot of them as well. And that really seems to be when you get a little cold snap like this, those fish will back off, but they're not going to get too far away. So that those guts or the centers of those spawning pockets have been really key for us this past week. That's where we've caught a lot of fish. So those are kind of the baits that are working down by the dam. Kimberling City, same sort of deal. The bite is definitely better in Kimberling City. Water has a little bit more of a stain. It's still pretty clear. Again, sight fishing is going to be a dominant pattern for the next week or so. So if you're into sight fishing, now's the time to come to town. We've got a full moon, I think it's Monday. So once that full moon hits, you're going to have a whole other wave of fish come to the bank. So really looks like it'll be a strong sight fishing week next week. If you're not a sight fisherman, swim bait's been my number one bait. Kitech 2.8 on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0. Again, most of the fish are less than 15 feet deep. Been catching it either throwing it out, counting it down about a 3 count, working it back slow, or scrubbing it on the bottom. Both of those patterns are working. It's just one day one works, one day the other does better. Catching them on the squirrel head as well, again with a Senko style bait as my trailer on the squirrel head. Catching them on a Pee Wee football jig pretty well too. Most of these fish again are going to be on those gravel and rock mixed pockets and points, spawning pockets essentially. Not really doing great on pure gravel yet, which is a little bit weird. I think we don't have enough fish that are in the post-spawn phase for that gravel to turn on, but that should turn on any day now. But most of it's a gravel and rock mix in those pockets. Either it's on the point, inside the point, on beds, or in the guts or the center of those spawning pockets really seem to be key. And go up into the James River. Things are a little bit further along in the James River. I know last week we saw a lot more fish on beds on the James River and some better fish on beds. I think that trend will continue once this warm-up comes back up, so sight fishing is definitely going to be a key pattern up there. Away from that, jigs, shaky head, the Jewel squirrel head's been working really well. And again, that bigger bait, that Senko, really seems to be a better bait in that dirtier water. It really seems to be a little bit more productive, moves a little bit more water, a little bit more mass, really seems to turn those fish on up there. Spider jig's been a little bit better than the Pee Wee jig up there. And again, these fish are going to be relatively shallow. They're going to be 5 to 15 foot deep, relating to spawning pockets, either on the point, inside the point, on a bed, or in the gut of the pocket. That's where we're catching most of our fish right now. We have started to see a little bit of topwater action, not a lot. Most of it is happening up the James. Caught a few on a spook last week and had a few on a fluke as well. So that tells me these fish are probably a little bit further along. We probably have a few more post-spawn fish up the James than we have anywhere else on the lake. So keep that in mind. It's a good idea to have a topwater or a fluke or both laying on your deck if you're going to go up the James, because pretty good chance you may see some topwater action on some of these. Once we get past these colder nights and we get into some more normal temperatures, you're going to probably start to see some topwater action up the James as well. White River, I spent a lot of time up the White River last week, and it's really been good. Catching numbers and some quality fish mixed in. My best bait up there has definitely been the Kitech 2.8 on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0. Again, most of these fish are relating to spawning pockets. They're either on the point, inside the point, on a bed, or in the guts of the creeks, or in the center of the spawning pocket. That's really where these fish seem to be hanging out. If you get a cold front like we've had come through right now, I usually start on the point, and if I'm not getting bit, I'll move to the kind of the gut of that spawning pocket, because that really seems to be where those fish move right now when the cold front comes in. They're not pulling way off, they're just going into the gut, a little bit deeper, a little bit safer water. Best bite, again, I've been throwing a swim bait quite a bit, catching a lot of fish on that, catching a lot on the squirrel head with a Senko type bait as a trailer, catching a lot of fish on a Pee Wee football jig up there too, and catching several on a Pro Spider jig. All those baits have been working. Again, the fish are going to be relatively shallow. 7 to about 15 foot deep seems to be the key. I think the deepest I've caught anything, well, I caught some suspended fish up there that were probably about 12 foot deep over 30, but that's not the most dominant pattern up there. Most of these fish are going to be relating to those spawning pockets. I think I just found a little group that was post-spawn, and that's how we caught them out there that deep. But we're definitely catching a lot of fish up the White, and the bite is getting better. We'll get past this cold front, and it's going to get really strong, I think, through the last week of April, and then all through May. It's just going to be fun, because there'll be a lot of fish caught through May. Guys, we are 3/4 of the way through April. We got snow on the ground, which is weird, but anyway, it's 420. What do you expect? But the bite's been good. We've been catching quite a few fish. It's been actually really good fishing this past week. Had some really good trips, had some high number trips with some better quality. I think we had a couple days where we had 40 fish. I know we had a couple days where we had 30 fish. So we've had some high numbers. The fish are starting to turn on. They're starting to bite a lot better. It's getting better. It's going to continue to get better all the way through the rest of the year as this warm up. Once we get warm back up, these fish are really going to move up. Best way to stay on top of that, know what's going on. Know before you go. Become a pro member of Table Rock Fishing Intel. get that information on a daily basis. It tells you where the guides are catching the fish, how we're catching the fish. It really gives you a leg up, gives you a head start before you even get to the lake, so you can know what you're going to do, where you're going to do it before you even get to the lake, so you're not wasting a couple hours of your fishing day just trying to figure out where the fish are at. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com. Either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have not checked out Table Rock Fishing Intel, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel. See if it's for you or not. But thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.